We are going to call the meeting to order. Everyone has their computers on and is set. And we will have Ms. We are called the meeting to order, and we will have Ms. Amanda, please do the roll call.
Mr. Stevens.
Here.
Chairman Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
And Ms. Benson. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Benson is going to do the invocation and the pledge for us today. Please stand and bow your heads.
I invite you to join me. First, we pray for Mr. Perkins, who is ill today, and that's rare for him, and please send him your thoughts and prayers. Dear Lord, today, when the future of our planet is held by a handful of leaders, we pray for wisdom, calmness, that they put aside machismo and egos, that they evoke the qualities of Solomon, Churchill, Angela Merkel, Gandhi, and other leaders of our past that have led us so well, that they see themselves not as winners or losers, but as peacemakers. We pray for those who are defending our freedom on foreign soils, and for those who are defending the freedom of their countries on those soils as well. We pray for those who are in harm's way, understanding that the world is small and we are all in harm's way. We pray above all for the children of the world and their future. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Benson. We move now to the adoption of agenda, and I know I have one addition. We will call it 6A, which is the career exploration group that is here. Do I have any other additions to add? Mr. Williams?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to add one myself to 14A, and that is the Perdido Key water tank, sorry. And we will move now to public hearings. We have none. We will move to open forum. Do I have any? Oh, I'm sorry. We need to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion? Ms. Benson?
Made a motion.
And Mr. Stevens seconds. Please vote. And it passes 4-0. Now we move to public hearings. We have none, and we move to open forum. I have no pink slips, even though I have a great big audience. So we will move on, and we will move to presentations. And the first presentation today is Sigrid Rarid, who is going to introduce us to the Career Exploration Team.
Is that working? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And it is my pleasure to present a program summary of our week last week, our career exploration program. We had 4 wonderful students, 3 of which are here today. So let's get into it. So the goals for this program are, in my opinion, basically just to enhance our community's understanding of what we do here at ECUA. So, and if we start with the younger generation, I think that's a great place to start. But also providing job awareness to these students. Utilities jobs are not, at least to me, it's not something that a kid grows up saying, yes, I'm gonna grow up to be a water treatment operator, or whatever the case may be. So just providing that insight into all the different options for careers. And then also community engagement. So through this program, we have businesses that sponsor our lunches, and I'm going to be calling them out and thanking them for their participation in that portion of our program. So engaging with our community as well. Okay, so something that I didn't have last year were some application stats, and I just wanted to share that this year. So we advertised this program starting in about January of this year. We started advertising, and we put it out everywhere that we possibly could. We advertised directly to high schools. We advertised to the administrations of the high schools. We put up flyers in public spaces like libraries. We posted on social media. We put it in the customer pipeline. And I spoke about it at community events, advertised it there, and much more. So from that, we had 20 people who filled out the interest form, and that was up from 9 last year. And so of that 20, the interest form is just the initial portion, and then after that, they have to complete the waiver and submit that back to me in order to be officially enrolled in the program. So out of the 20, we had 10 officially submit their waivers. And then out of the 10, we ended up with 4. They were awesome students. We were going to have the 10, and then it was down to 8, and a lot of the feedback that I got was that students were getting summer jobs. So that's good for them, bad for us, but that's okay. And then just kind of riding on the coattails of such an awesome week that we had, I wanted to put out the interest form for next year. So that is what the QR code goes to. And we will just start advertising that now. So if you want to share that with your networks, that it's open and available, the interest form is live. So, okay, so getting into our week. So day 1, we had wonderful presentations and tours from IT and sanitation. And our students got to experience operating a lift arm of a garbage truck. That is always fun to watch. A lot of them did great. I mean, everyone did great, honestly. And I think Maria got to try it too. We got to tour IT in the morning, and they started us off with a great icebreaker, a team building exercise, that kind of thing. And then to end the day, we actually just drove out to the landfill. There's a lot of people that don't know where the landfill is, and or don't know what it is if they do drive by it. So we got to drive out there and just take a look at it and talked about landfill technology a little bit. So day 2 was all about drinking water and the water quality lab, and also SCADA. So we toured a well facility, and they got to run some tests at the well facility, but also at the lab. And then we did visit SCADA, where we saw, how everything is controlled and monitored from there. And I think probably one of the highlights of the day, as it was last year, was opening the fire hydrant. So that was fun, right? And then day 3, so GIS, regions, and engineering. We started out the day with GIS. We did a little tour of our campus. GIS manager Erin, she set up a really cool scavenger hunt for us, basically with QR codes all around the campus, just as a demonstration of how we use GIS every day. And then we had a very cool manhole demonstration. That was new. They were prepared this year. They were ready to pull out all the stops. So that is pictured up there. And we learned all about the safety requirements for entering a manhole, all of that. And then also engineering, we got to look at some engineering specs for one of our water treatment plants. All right, day 4 was the MRF and HR, and we did our own recycled paper making activity. So one thing I did want to call out here is that we have some new technology for tours at the MRF. It is very loud in there, so Sean has to yell a lot when he's giving tours, and then oftentimes people don't even hear what he's yelling. So we have this brand new headset and walkie-talkie technology. Yes, so we were able to use it for the first time with our group of students here, and it worked pretty much great the whole time. We had some little bugs, but it's good to work those out. First time for everything. So, and then we did learn about some safety procedures from HR and risk management, and then like I mentioned, we made our own paper, so that was fun. And last but not least, day 5 we got to work with customer service, and we went out to CWRF to see wastewater treatment process, and then compost. So I think this was actually one of the highlights of the week for a lot of them, was climbing the giant pile of finished compost. Is that right? So that was fun. And then customer service was actually new this year. We did not have time in the schedule last year, and I'm really glad we were able to fit it in this year, and that will be a permanent fixture going forward. But they were able to listen in on some customer phone calls and learn about how the CSSs respond to our customers' needs. And then obviously out at CWRF, they got a tour of the whole facility, and then they were able to do some of the tasks that the treatment operators out there do on a daily basis and run some tests in their lab out there. All right, and here's our sponsors. We had wonderful sponsors who, I forgot to switch out the picture. I'm sorry, guys. That's our students from last year. But these are our sponsors for this year. We had Garver, Litvak, Beasley, Wilson, and Ball, My Pensacola Credit Union, Loyalty Credit Union, and Baskerville-Donovan were our lunch sponsors, and then Buffalo Rock sponsored our snacks for the week. Okay, so some student quotes. So I always get a survey from everybody at the end, just, because I want to know, unfiltered, how they felt about the week and any feedback that they can give me to improve the next year. So the favorite day, it wasn't the same across the board, but I just pulled a couple quotes from different surveys to kind of fill out this little page. So favorite day, the CWRF was a big facility, and it was nice to learn about it, mainly because of the presenter. I believe that's Randy, so good job, Randy. The compost tour was fun to learn about because of the climbing the fertilizer. Collecting samples of wastewater was also fun. Would you consider a career at ECUA? The overwhelming answer was yes. Nobody said no, so that's good. Yes, because it seems fun to do things at ECUA. And then would you recommend this program to a friend? Definitely, and yes. Those were the two answers. And then the biggest takeaway, this was the one that stood out to me. I learned something new every single day here. I loved learning about the process each facility had to take. The processes each facility had to take care of our water/trash. So. All right, so looking forward to next year's program. This is year 2 of this program, and this is my favorite week of the whole year. So it's a really fun program to put on, and I just want to say a huge thank you to all the ECUA staff who helped make it possible, because obviously none of it would be possible without them. So that is it for me, and then I can take questions, but then we will present certificates to our students who are here.
And we have any questions? Do we have any questions? You have Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, first of all, Sigrid, thank you for spearheading this along with the staff members. And I say this as an employer in the private community. I mean, it's great to engage these young people early on. I mean, if folks are looking for job fairs and college and universities, like we need to be going to the high schools and middle schools and so forth. So I'm glad that again, showing them behind the curtains on what we do here at ECUA, and that it's far more complicated and fun, as I'm glad some folks, some of the kids actually believe that as well. And just like I said, a great work environment, but engaging them young and at this stage is great, because that's what we're going to have to do, not just at ECUA, but in the private communities as well. So I'm glad that we're on the forefront of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I too would echo those comments and say thank you for year number 2. Seems like it was a lot of fun. Generally, for students who are interested in working with ECUA, the type of class work that would help them, generally, what would those subjects be?
Well, this year we had a lot of students interested in engineering. So we talked a little bit about that and what a potential educational path would look like for that. Obviously, engineering being a pretty popular degree for that. And then after that, the certifications and the tests required to become an engineer. So we talked about that. In terms of other
Trades.
roles, I guess I wouldn't be necessarily the best one to answer that question. I apologize, but maybe someone else wants to weigh in on that. Yeah. But as we go around each department, you know, the students get the business cards from the presenters, and everyone of the ECUA staff has been really great about expressing the fact that, you know, if you have questions, you can reach out to me. Happy to help, you know, all of that. So I hope that students take advantage of that going forward.
It looked like a lot of fun, and I'm missing one or two young ladies from the audience who are on the picture.
Yes, we're missing one of our students. And then another student that might have been in the pictures is actually a student employee with ECUA, so she was able to tag along on a couple of our tours as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so did the one student who's missing complete the course?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, she did. She just couldn't join us today.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you coming. I appreciate you taking this class. Not only do we need engineers, we need people to run every department at this operation. It's a huge operation, and they make good money. They have good benefits. And even if you don't want to work at the ECUA, we need people to fill these seats up here every 3 to 6 years. So, you know, you might want to, now that you know enough about every piece of the industry, you may want to run for an ECUA spot. And if you ever want to do that,
There you go.
I have 5 people, four today, 4 people up here that you can call, and they'll help you navigate that path. Ms. Benson.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. I also, thanks to the kids who did this, it's a great opportunity to see what we do. You know, most people, when they turn on the spigot, they want the water to flow, or when they flush, they want it to go away. They don't think about all the things and people who make this happen. But I also want to thank our staff members who acted really as mentors in this process, to be role models for these kids, for their futures. And as you were talking, I thought back when my kids were real little. We were friends with the Felixes around the corner, and Hans was the city engineer. But he had a car that had the city logo, which was the same logo that the garbage truck had. So my kids thought he was the garbage man, and they thought that that was what they wanted to be because he was so wonderful. And it was a real disappointment when they grew up and did not become that. But the truth is, every city employee who has a job can be a mentor to other people. And I think what we have to teach our kids is no matter who you are and what you do, you want to be the best of that job. And I think that our employees really do epitomize that. So thank you.
Agreed.
I came on the board of ECUA after doing a thing called Leadership Pensacola, which is a group for grown-ups that's kind of like the one you went through, where you saw all of the ECUA at work, and it made me want to run for the board. So, you know, maybe you will be a future board member or a future employee, and that's just wonderful to have you here. And thank you for going through the program, and thank you for coming, and tell all your friends about it and how great it was. Thank you, Sigrid.
Thank you.
Do you have,
We have certificates to hand out to the students who are here, and we
Okay.
would love to take a picture with you if
okay.
you're willing.
Yeah,
Yes? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sigrid. And you guys are welcome to stick around and watch the board meeting. It's not boring, I promise. Okay, the next item, and I'm going to do a little introduction of this item. Instead of speaking at the end, I'm going to speak at the beginning. If the board will please humor me for that. I know I usually talk at the end, but I wanted to talk at the beginning of the next item. Today, I want to welcome Jason Carter back from Strategy and Transformation. He's here to guide us through the latest update to the ECUA strategic plan. For a bit of context, this is the first time this board has undertaken a strategic planning since 2007. At that time, Lois and Dale were the only ones that are on the board now that were on the board, and I appreciate the historical value and perspective they bring to the table, especially when it comes to the vision, mission, and core value items. Since then, so much has changed. We have new department heads, many new employees, a new administrator, expanded services, including recycling and composting, and with all these developments, the time is right to re-engage this strategic planning process. As we all know, in any organization, you're only as strong as your strategic plan. I want to thank our staff who dedicated countless hours to this effort. They've helped craft the plan, drawing from their daily work and direct interactions with the customers. Their input has been invaluable to me. I've taken the time to speak with many of them about the plan. I also appreciate the feedback and time provided by each of you as board members. I will try to remember, while that plan reflects our shared goals, it is our staff who will have to live it every day. They're the ones that have to keep it on track, deliver the mission, and communicate with the mission to the public. No strategic plan will please everyone. That is the nature of the work. But the goal here is not perfection, it is trust. Trust that ECUA is steadfast, resilient, and prepared to meet whatever challenges come our way. We have a significant responsibility to the people we serve, and this plan is a major step in honoring that responsibility. So as I listen to the presentation today, I'm going to keep my input concise, direct, and objective. I personally do not want today to become take apart piece by piece 3 hours of debate. My goal is to offer actionable feedback that the staff can take back and incorporate as we move forward with finalizing the plan. I hope we will stay focused on that big picture, which will help us best serve our customers, support our staff, and strengthen the ECUA's future. Thank you. I'll catch up. It's afterwards on the agenda. Yeah. Well, you may have the old one. I have a new one. I mean, I have the old one. You may have a new one. Let me see on the old one. No, it's still, it's in order. They just put the career in front of the strategic plan. So with that, thank you, Mr. Carter. If you will, please come to the podium and share the update to the plan, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Campbell and board members. So we were here in April and went through a lot of the process, described the steps we went through in the strategic plan. It's been a great journey, and working with your team here, we engaged over 50 of really your in-house experts across the organization to develop the draft strategic plan. And we're going to walk through some sections of those. We do have some slides we'll run through. One of the things that we want to make clear every time that we talk about strategic plan is what do we mean by a strategic plan? And strategic plans can be kind of positional, whether it's expanding into services or, for any kind of organization, not just utilities, but can also be franchise areas. It can be, growth scenarios, types of things, but it all can be also can be perspectives. So what are our priorities moving forward? How do we maintain alignment of resources, support budgeting? How are we going to measure progress on improving on those areas within the organization, those themes? How do we communicate the priorities to, I shouldn't say how, but what do we communicate to our stakeholders? That would be internal and external stakeholders. So what are our priorities that we're communicating to our employees, to our customers, to the economic development community, to our partners in the region, right? And then lastly, but not least, certainly creating some flexibility, a way of making decisions. So while a strategic plan does create themes, and there are 6 themes that you have in your strategic plan, focusing on infrastructure and workforce and community, there are things that pop up that aren't necessarily totally aligned with those things or in that plan, right? Or maybe not even thought of, because these plans last for years. So there's got to be a basis for making decisions about new challenges or opportunities that come along the line. So a strategic plan, when you come to strategic planning, there's definitely a self-assessment and understanding what is it that we're doing well, what things do we want to improve, but also creating flexibility for new things that come up that we need to address as an organization. One of the other questions just about where do we do these things. I apologize, I did not share this in April, but Jason Carter, right, I led for many years the strategy and transformation team at Arcadis. We do this work, strategic planning across the country, in fact internationally, and are recognized as a leader in that space. We also facilitate global networks of utilities that are really focused on what is it that we need to be doing, we being the utility space, to be fit for future. All right, so how do we leverage data? How do we engage our customers and our regional collaborators? How do we modify treatment and leverage that type of technology? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Carter, I just wanted to say one thing. Board members, you will not see this on your screen like we normally do. When they put in the career source, it threw out this.
Uh-oh.
You can't see it on your
okay.
screen like you normally can. But it's up behind him on the wall, so.
All right, sorry about that.
Yeah. No, not your fault. It was something come in on top of you.
Okay, all right. But yeah, so please stop me if there's something that is too small. We did
Okay.
anticipate some of these things being right in front of you on the screen. We'll spend some time on that. And of course, you'll have all of this stuff, following the session. So we do work with utilities really around the world on discussing what are the priorities to be fit for future. We are in a time, and I've been doing this for 27 years, over 27 years, and I've said this every year, but now I mean it, right? We're at an unprecedented time of challenge for utilities. Right, we have escalating costs, our capital costs, and just to get the same things done that we did a handful of years ago is double the cost. Putting pipe in the ground, plants, pumps, things along those lines it is a challenge, and to maintain workforce, right? To recruit, retain. We're continued to see a wave of retirements. So there's a real need to focus in on attracting and keeping the best and brightest within the organization. Our customers are very interested, right? There's a lot of topics in the news. PFAS, right? Lead and copper, fluoride, right? There are topics that are out there that have really piqued the interest of the public. And so utilities, the silent service, we are no more, right? Folks want to talk about what's going on within water, how is it treated, how is it, when you take wastewater, how is that treated? For sanitation and solid waste, how is that managed? So these are really challenging times for organizations, and that has led to a rise in strategic planning and thinking a bit about how do we deal with these different challenges with limited resources. We don't have unending budgets. We certainly are really driving to make the most of the resources that we have without growing, tremendously in staff and whatnot. And so planning, the strategic plan is critical. And this, a group of utilities are looking into what priorities should we be baking into our plans moving forward. So with that, just wanted to talk a little bit about what the objective is today. It's really to get your thoughts. We've had an opportunity to talk with you through the we spoke back in January, again in April, briefly during the board meeting, and then I had a chance to speak with a few of you about the current plan, but today is really to hear your thoughts on the values as they currently stand, the staff proposed values, the vision and mission statement. Now, where these came from, well, it was earlier, I guess it was late last year. The organization or leadership felt like, well, we're heading into a budgeting cycle and whatnot. We want to think a little bit about what should our priorities be, and as part of that, referenced or looked back at the 2007 values and vision statement as a starting point, as a great starting point. And so looking at those, then, recognizing the world has changed. There's quite a few things that have happened between 2007 and now. Are there any modifications that we would recommend, the staff would recommend? And so we worked with them, went through a sequence of meetings, and we're going to share, obviously, the results there and discuss any thoughts, questions you have about there, or possible modifications along the way. Another quick kind of background on the strategic planning structure. Strategic plan has two big pieces. There's that foundational element, which is your values, vision, mission. So values being kind of a statement of behaviors, kind of that guiding philosophy of what it means to be at ECUA. Vision meaning that future aspiration, what do you want to be known for? What's the perspective that you're looking for from how do you want your current, your employees as well as your community to view the organization? And then the mission being the specific things that you do within the community. Now, that's a high-level kind of foundational elements, the things that we're going to focus on today. However, there is another part of this, which are the tactical items. Well, how do we do that? Right? There are, and in your plan, there are 6 strategic goals that have been developed on how, these focus areas to touch on or to advance that mission. For each of those goals or those focus areas, there's objectives, and then there's performance measures. And we did go through those. It was a little bit of a long presentation in April. We did go through those in April with you. And we do have those, if you want to get to those, we've got those later in the deck here. We can reference those. But the focus today, the plan is to really dig into the values, vision, and mission statements. We did talk about this, so I won't spend a ton of time on this, but just a reminder of the process that your staff went through. Starting back in December, there was a self-assessment. So what, again, I mentioned, what do we do well? What things do we want to try to improve on or build on? So there is a thing called the Effective Utility Management Framework that was used. And this is a standard that wastewater and water utilities across the country have developed to be able to share ideas, thoughts, practices, as well as kind of assess each other against each other, right? So benchmarking. But also a SOAR analysis, which was this what are the aspirations you have for the organization? We did interviews, so we interviewed each of the board members. We interviewed executive leadership, as well as sent out a survey. And then discussed some of the industry trends that I just brought up about, costs and workforce and different weather events and things along those lines, right? So first it's kind of sitting back and assessing, all right, where are we now? The next step in February, we went through and said, okay, how might that impact our statements? It might not. We might stay with what we had, but what at the time when we discussed this as a team, there were some specific ideas that folks thought, hey, given our current context, we should try to include a few of these new ideas, and we'll go through those. But we did that in February, and then later in February, we did the goal developments, which are the focus areas, the 6 focus areas that we got into. Built from that into specific objectives, how are we going to move forward and how are we going to measure progress? And then in April, we came here and presented the draft plan, and we are here still with the draft plan, but now to discuss the values, vision, mission. The next step is really to finalize this and get this to you this next month for adoption. I'll pause there. I don't have any questions. This is a lot of review. You've seen most of this stuff before, so.
Stevens.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just real quick, and not to beat the proverbial dead horse, I appreciate the call you all did last week and with the feedback and the recommendations. So I don't know if the existing mission statement and vision statement that you all are proposing, has that been modified, or is this still the proposal? And I just have this.
The read ahead. Yes, you do have. You do have the, where do we have it?
I've got
so
the mission
underneath
statement.
in each of the boxes, so if you get down to the values, so second page 3.
Okay, yeah, and I've got 3. So that is existing and then staff proposed. Yeah,
the existing is 2007. The staff proposed are the updates. Yep.
So let me say this, and this, and I kind of did a little focus group myself, kind of walked around one of my offices today and talked about 12 or 15 people, and I was like, I can take constructive criticism, as long as it's constructive. So I'm reading it out to them in our existing missions, vision statement, or let me start with the mission statement. The mission of the Emerald Coast Utility Authority is to promote the quality of life of the Emerald Coast by providing wastewater, sanitation services in an effective and efficient manner. Succinct to the point. The proposed to provide high-quality, reliable wastewater, solid waste service to the community while empowering and valuing employees. And again, our employees are the lifeblood of our organization. But this sounds to me like more like a help wanted ad. I took the liberty of getting Midway Water, Gulf Breeze, FPL. Let me read a few of these that are more succinct, because even when I was reading some of my employees, they were kind of like, well, we want to be empowered too, absolutely, but I'm more about empowering the community. I'm more about empowering the customers we serve, right? Mission statement, Gulf Breeze, our mission is to provide safe and reliable drinking water, sewer treatment, reclaim irrigation services in a cost-effective manner. Midway, to provide the residents of Midway Utilities with drinking water in a safe, cost-effective, environmentally improved manner, kind of all along the same route. Moz, this is Mobile, right down the road from us. Mobile Area Water Systems. Moz will protect and enhance the health, safety, and economic well-being of our community through responsible management of water resources while providing superior customer service. So the resounding thing with everyone around us is customer, 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 customer. I feel quite certain, I'm hoping that they're valuing and empowering their employees as well, but it's not in the mission statement. And then, of course, you have FPL. Our goal is simple: provide reliable electricity to meet your needs every single day while working to keep your bill as low as possible. They could probably work on that last part, but again, all focused on the community. And then, of course, last but not least, Coca-Cola, to refresh the world in mind, body, and spirit, to inspire moments of optimism, happiness through our brands and our actions. But again, all of that is community, because we're here to serve our community, and certainly we can't do that without empowering our employees. So that's probably my only, and having people read the mission statement. I mean, let's be real, but again, it is our mission statement. It is, the kind of the fundamental first thing you're saying. What is ECUA about? So I would like it to be more community, customer, ratepayer, community focused, as opposed to, again, and you start reading through this, again, I'm going to use Mobile because they're kind of maybe our big brother or big sister, I should say, just to the west of us. You've got down here with the employees, in the text of it, we acknowledge and respect and promote the well-being, professional development of our employees, because they are the heart of our organization, 100%. The heart and soul of this organization are our employees, but I'm not sure if that should be in the three-sentence mission statement. That's just my 2 cents about the mission statement.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Ms. Benson.
Thank you. I think Mr. Stevens may have eavesdropped on my call.
Right, yeah.
I have serious problems with what we were handed for a number of reasons, starting with the stakeholders. To me, the stakeholders in our mission are the people who drink our water, who flush their toilets, who pay our rates, who use the sanitation services. The stakeholders are the firms that contract with us, and they have a lot of knowledge of ECUA organizations. The stakeholders are the developers who look at our processes and have to work within it. If we are not talking to them, we are not developing a legitimate strategic plan, because we're not incorporating the stakeholders. We're only incorporating our employees. And, we have all been so supportive of our employees. We think we have the best of the best, and I appreciate what they have. But if we only talk to each other and don't get from the outside, we are not including the stakeholders. I was frankly alarmed by the change in the mission statement. that took out efficient and effective manner. There was no mention of our responsibility to control costs that these ratepayers pay. And, you know, I think having good employees and having good benefits and all of those things are important in the strategy of achieving our mission, but they are not our mission. We are not a chamber of commerce. We have a mission of providing these services, and the employees are part of that. The employees are not our mission. And so I think it's very important. I mean, every company that has a mission statement depends on their employees, but that is not their mission. Truthfully, if we found out, and I'm not suggesting this, but if we found out that everything that was done by by the ECUA could be done by AI, we'd probably have an obligation to do that. So it's important that we focus on what it is we do, and not on these other things. And I found that this whole document did not reflect the broader community that we serve and what truly we do. And I saw it as a step back from the 2007 mission statement, to tell you the truth. And we worked very hard on that and collaboratively to make sure that just those important words were there, and financial parts of it, effective and efficient. To have that left out is a real serious omission, and obviously by design, because that was your starting point. So I think we have a long way to go.
Thank you, Ms. Benson. Mr. Williams? Thank you. I agree. I'll just say I agree on the effective and efficient manner. Keeping the cost low is probably more important somewhere like Pensacola, Escambia County, Florida, than it is anywhere else you've been in Florida, for sure, because we're one of the poorest counties, and people can't afford to pay bills. I about had a heart attack when I got my power bill last month, and I was pleasantly surprised when I got our ECUA bill, my ECUA bill this month, because it went down $10. It didn't double like my power bill did. So, you know, that part I agree with Ms. Benson and Stevens, that we do need to make sure that maybe tweak it some and make sure that we are talking to all the stakeholders, you know, the customers. And I do agree that we really value our employees, and we know that they've spent time on this, and we do want to get more employees, so I don't have any problem at all keeping all while empowering the employees in there. You know what I mean? So I think part of the reason they put the empowering employees part in there was because we're having a hard time finding enough employees. So I'm fine with leaving that part in there, but maybe make it a line longer and add back in the effective and efficient manner or something along those lines. But please proceed.
Thank you. Yeah, I did jump to the mission, so we were going to go through, and we'll go through the values and vision statement as well to get your thoughts there. Okay. I think there's some of the same comments or concerns would also apply to the vision statement. You're absolutely on the point about why did this come up, right? And so when we were looking at this, the 2007 mission statement, there were a couple of things. One is an update in just jargon, in just the technical term, like sanitation, changing that to solid waste. So that was a simple move. The other was an adjustment from stating Emerald Coast to more generally the community, right? The next one was that shift, right, from effective and efficient service to high quality and reliable. And the discussion, I'll just give you the context of the discussion and whatnot. It wasn't that wasn't important. It was that people want to know that the water is safe. They want to know that it's going to be there when they can get it. They certainly want to know that it's going to be affordable, right? So there is there's no reason to not have efficient. We certainly can come up with an option that puts that in there. Now, demonstrating the commitment to the employees, the entire plan has that theme throughout, right? So the way that it's, and I went through the little squiggly process diagram there, it's a progressively built plan. So if you have an idea, things that you want to really focus on, infrastructure, employees, it tends to find its way into every single thing. Reason I mention that is that you have an entire goal area that's focused on employees. So if in the mission statement that was something that you wanted to streamline, it doesn't, that commitment to doing what you want to do for your staff, for recruiting, for retaining, for rewarding and growing your team here is all still in the plan. So there's we certainly can make an edit to that, and several do. And shifting Mr. Stevens to the community, right? Having that, there is a mention of community in here, but there's certainly opportunity to amplify that. In fact, the mission statement could be to provide high quality and reliable water, wastewater, solid waste services to the community, or excuse me, could be efficiently providing high quality and reliable water. I'm just throwing that out, not that this is the end all be all, right? To support a thriving community, period, right? That could be a potential rewrite. We'll certainly take a look at the other examples that you mentioned. I made a huge error, and I didn't introduce Caitlin Scornia, our senior management consultant from Arcata. She is taking copious notes over here. You're hearing typing. So she's collecting all of this, and it will go into a revised draft of this for your consideration. So we'll come up with some options on that. So we've got key concerns about efficiency, stressing, really focusing on the community, and again, understanding the commitment to empowering and valuing employees. There could be an option where we just end that right after community, and we can bring that to you. Is there any other? And I know, Ms. Benson, you mentioned stakeholders. I want to talk about that in just a minute. But is there anything else in the list of comments that we needed to grab? Cost effective. Yep. Great point about stakeholders, right? Every time you start one of these exercises, you have to decide who are our stakeholders, right? Are we going to go with internal? Are we going to go with external? Is it going to be both? What order are we going to go in? And we do all of the above, right? So we've done several, recently have done several outreach programs with strategic plans to the communities that the utilities are serving, doing surveys, doing open houses, doing interviews. Those are great things to do. And one of the fundamental reasons is that you're not in it alone, right? Your community, the problems, the challenges that utilities are facing, and the folks that you serve are kind of the end, well, they are literally the end users, and you want those perspectives and how they view you. If you want to achieve the vision that you're casting in the future, you want them to think, of you as being that cost effective. You have to understand where they're starting, right? And so in 2022, I know you did a customer satisfaction survey. We did use some of that in the development of the plan, but there wasn't any other external outreach. The process that you go through to do that is to first do the internal piece. So you're in a great position now to take this plan and reach out to any of the regional or any of the community partners that you have, your economic team, development partners, developers, various customers, whether they're commercial or residents, and getting some perspectives from them on the plan. I think that would be a great next step. It's a great point. But again, they're not experts in what we do, right? A lot of them don't know what we do, and so you start with the internal stakeholders and experts on what do we think we're doing well, what areas do we need to focus in on to create that content for them to respond to. Thank you very much. Is there anything else on the mission statement? Yes, ma'am.
I would just say, having gone through the exercise of creating a mission statement, it takes a long time to do it, and there's a lot of give and take. And I think it's very important that every word in the mission statement be specifically chosen toward the end of what we do. So you, and this is not a criticism, you threw out the word thriving. Thriving really doesn't have a place in the mission statement. The mission statement should be tightly focused to what it is we do. I just think that's important because you can have all kinds of things weaving into your mission statement, but it needs to be, what was it, to get a man on the moon and move him back safely in 5 years or whatever the mission statement was for that. It's got to be very tightly controlled, and then everything we do it attaches itself to that mission statement. Even in considering our discussions about fluoride, it would be very good to know what our mission statement is in that regard and to weave those discussions into it. So a mission statement and what you're doing is very, very important, and I believe in the process, which is why I'm being hard about it, because I believe in it. I don't want another study that sits on a shelf and doesn't go anywhere. And I know Mr. Woody doesn't, and I know the staff doesn't. They buy into this. So let's really hunker down and get it right and include all the stakeholders and make the words work.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
All right. I'm going to back up to the values. No, let's go with vision, because I think that's connected to our discussion, right? So we've spent a day going through the values, vision, and mission. And again, so we took a look at the 2007 vision to continuously improve, be recognized as a great utility. So there were just a couple of questions that came up in the discussion. Well, what do we mean by continuously improve? Is this marginal improvement? Is this just changing with the times? And what do we mean by great? So there was a bit of a discussion about how might we expound upon that. And so there was also a story, a great story, where we were reflecting on what are people thinking about the organization. And it was a story about the snowstorms, right? When everything else was shut down, ECUA was not, right? They had water service. Our customers, your customers, had service at the house, and that was seen as a huge win. Where'd we go? It was up here in the values. I'm sorry for bouncing around. So this was the story about service continuity during adverse weather, right? ECUA maintained essential services, adjusted sanitation collection, solid waste collection services, prioritized safety for all involved that are doing the work, kept community informed through communications, and ensured prompt and safe resumption of services. So one of the themes, and we're working kind of backward, mission to vision to values, but was resilience. That we think, hey, there's opportunities to work that in. So you start seeing that in what we're putting in here in these statements. So for the vision statement, elaborate on great, demonstrate that we're leadership and resilience, quality, our service to the community, reflect the role in the community as a key partner. And again, we were talking about being that employer of choice. So the longer version of the vision statement. So this is the vision statement is what do we want, what do we aspire to? What is it that we want our community to say about us? Mission statement is what we do, the services we provide. The vision statement is that image, right? So in this statement, we have ECUA will set the industry standard for operational excellence, resilience, and innovation, while being recognized as an essential partner in the protection of public health and an employer of choice. There were a couple of things in here that we have heard from you on. One, we used a lot of words, so it's not as concise. We've heard that a couple of times. But let me back up to the chunk this a bit. So operational excellence was seen as that replacement for cost-effective and efficient. So we are seen as an operationally excellent organization. Doesn't mean that was perfect or anything along those lines. I'm clearly hearing that when you've read through this, you're still looking for that efficient word, which is great. We will definitely come up with an option with efficient in that, but I just wanted to give you that context. So it wasn't that we weren't looking for efficiency and effectiveness to be in here. We were shifting the terminology to being seen as being operationally excellent. Yes, ma'am. Resilient and innovative, so being flexible, taking on the new things that are coming up. Certainly exciting things with the technology, AI, and having that baked into the plan to, again, leverage technology, leverage tools, leverage understanding to be the best utility we possibly can be. Not just great, we want to set the industry standard as well. So that was kind of that first piece to expound on that. The second was recognizing that, and I know most of the community doesn't recognize this, those of us that are lifers in the water sector and at wastewater sector recognize that what you do as a utility is foundational to all civilization, right? And that's not an overstatement. Every job, every home requires water and sanitation. And so we had in there that we really wanted folks to understand that that ECUA is a partner in the public health in providing safe water, collecting wastewater, treating that effectively, as well as keeping the area clean, but through solid waste collection and management. And then we definitely wanted people to be thinking about employer of choice. The previous presentation, I talked about not everybody wakes up in the morning or is talking to mom and dad, you know, and thinking about options for careers, and they're thinking lawyer, you know, doctor, water sector, wastewater sector, solid waste sector worker, right, professional. We want that to be we want that to, you know, to happen, right? And so that was, again, a theme through here. But there's a lot in this statement, and I know there were a couple of different things we heard from you. One we'll certainly take, of course, right from the bat, is the employer of choice piece. The other is a question about the term public health. Protection as an essential partner in the protection of public health, and certainly looking for any discussion and thoughts that you have on those terms as well as any aspect. But sorry for the long-winded context setting here, but I wanted you to understand how this statement came together. So I'll stop there and ask for any questions, comments, or modifications.
Stevens.
And I'm, again, I think you all are probably going to focus group some more of these vision statements and mission statements and so forth. But, you know, to Ms. Benson's statement about just succinct, concise, you know, they always say imitation is the best form of flattery, and I always tell my folks there really is no original idea, you know, but I'm reading some of the, you know, other water treatment facilities around us and their vision, you know, Mobile, for example, to become a model utility to create and protect resources for future generations. We will lead our industry and provide services to accommodate regional economic development growth. So it's just, again, I'm not, you know, it sounds like I'm hammering the employer of choice, but it sounds like a, you know, like a Landrum staffing ad or something. I you know, that piece, because, you know, we're very concerned as a board about our employees. I mean, I'm sure myself, I know I did. I'm sure the rest of the board probably got some flack in future votes in the past about voting for rate increases with portions of that going to our employees for better benefits and for better pay. And then, of course, I think in this latest budget, which has not been voted on yet, there is a proposal for some increased pay and benefits and so for our employees. So our employees are paramount to what ECUA does, and I think I could on a limb and speak for all my other board members, but I'd probably say they'd probably agree with me on that, you know, they're lifeblood of that. But mission statement, vision, you know, what are we here to do? What are we here to provide? It's public health, reliable water, sanitation, sewer services, and so forth. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Can I ask a quick question?
And just going on and again, I'm just doing a little bit of research myself. I didn't see the examples that you all researched up there. I didn't see, maybe you have those, what their mission and or vision statement was as well.
We can provide those, yeah.
Sure.
It's a series
Again,
of other examples just to go by. But I love, there's several great terms in the example that you provided, providing, you know, services for generations to come. Is that one of the other ideas that you wanted considered, or? Okay.
Seems to be
Sure.
you know, providing quality services while empowering the community.
Yep.
All I had, just ideas, and I also want to acknowledge the work
Thank you. Ms. Benson?
Thank you. You seem to raise the question about public health. I think it's a critical piece of what we do. We have to include acknowledging that we're in the public health business. When we moved the Main Street sewage treatment plant, we were getting effluent out of our bay water, which was a public health issue above and beyond other things. When we have discussions at Pensacola Beach, where public health is an important part of what we do, so I certainly don't want to lose that.
Thank you. I agree with Ms. Benson on that part. And I kind of like this vision statement at the end saying, and an employer of choice, because right now we need employees. So, you know, if there's people out there looking for a job and they're looking at our website, I kind of like the fact that we're saying we're an employer of choice. So you know, it doesn't kill me that it's there, but it doesn't kill me if it goes away.
I just had one quick, just to add to that, not to that, but, you know, and just going off of some of these, are we going to have it, like, I'm just using the Mobile, for example, they've got mission, vision, our values, customer service, trust. I mean, I don't know how we're going to be set up there, but speaking of employees, I mean, it's right there in the, I mean, it's employees. We acknowledge, respect, and promote the well-being. So I'm assuming, I'm hoping maybe on our vision and or mission statement, you know, it's going to have the bolded, italicized few sentences, vision and Milton, but underneath that, I'm certain we're going to have something like values, employees, integrity, something along those lines.
Yes.
Which, okay, just.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a challenge looking at each of these individuals to get comments on each individual statement without having the whole thing and seeing that in that plan. But you have, in strategic plans, you'll have that opening paragraph that sets the stage for everything else. And that's where you can emphasize that commitment. And then you have your values, vision, mission, and then you have your goal statements, which the goals, as I mentioned, one of your 6 is all about your workforce. Recruiting, retaining, making sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to have provide the strongest value proposition for people to come and be a part of here, the total benefits and compensation as well as experience to grow them and whatnot. But absolutely, yes, that'll be in the plan together, and you'll have other places to emphasize them, the focus there.
Thank you.
All right, great.
I appreciate that.
So
I'm thinking about my office. Boy, everybody needs employees right now, right?
Everybody does, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Last thing we have is the value statement, or values. So we looked at the 2007 values, and great values: quality service, reasonable price, courteous, responsible personnel, environmental stewardship, timely availability of services, economic and physical security, and diversity. All of it 7, which is a lot, and there was a lot going on in each of these. And so one of the thoughts, or several thoughts, came up in the discussion here is like, well, is there a way to highlight our commitment to the community as a value? Remember, the way that we're using values in this is to really describe what it means to be an ECUA, at ECUA, right? What it means to be an ECUA professional, part of that family, and demonstrating a commitment to the community, a dedication to employee development, emphasizing a focus on quality service and transparency. And then the last one was to possibly simplify. Is there a way to collapse some of these things together and get at the roots of what we were trying to accomplish with some updates in 2007? And so the staff proposed, continue to have the 2007 on the left there, but on the right, you'll see the staff proposed that commitment to excellence, so dedicated to providing high-quality services, continuously striving for excellence and upholding the highest standards of honesty, transparency, and accountability in all of our actions. The second being people and service focus, right? So this is prioritizing the needs and satisfaction of our community first, right? But also investing in our employees' growth and development and fostering a unified workforce. The third is environmental responsibility, so committed to protecting the environment through responsible leadership and sustainable practices. And the fourth being resilience. As I mentioned, the story right, by the January snowstorm, really trying to emphasize that in this, but effectively planning for and responding to natural disasters and other crises to ensure the safety, health, and welfare of our employees and customers. So it was an attempt to get to something. We try to get down. We try to get to 3, but less than 5 is great. But again, to emphasize that commitment to the community, to continuous improvement to our staff, the environment, and being resilient as an organization. There were a few things that we've heard on this, but I'll stop there. Y'all have any? I'll stop here for questions and comments. One was, well, I'm sorry. One was to be concise, right? So wordiness was one, right? We heard that, and we will take a look at seeing if we can streamline some of these things. But besides that, are there any questions, comments, concerns?
I have two myself. Totally took out the reasonably priced part on this. So, you know, that's so important in this county. It's a hard battle that we fight on this board all the time. And then I know that, you know, this year it's cool to be DEI, next year it's not, but it's always cool to be diverse at ECUA. So taking out that diversity part really bothers me because, you know, we try to stay that way here at ECUA, and I like that. I like that on the existing values, the diverse part for our workforce. So I like keeping that in there personally, and the reasonably priced part. So. I think we're going to get a lot easier once you get past the vision, mission, and core values.
Just very quickly on those two topics, and we did talk extensively about those. One, on reasonably priced, that refers to our services and the bills, and so as a value of the employees, that they're reasonably priced employees, right? And that was the kind of the glitch, right? The values are reflecting of what it means. It's the values of your employees at the organization. And so we were moving toward, look, we want high quality services, striving for excellence, and being honest, transparent. So that's describing the way we do our work and whatnot. We could certainly, if we put cost effective or efficient, we were putting that in the mission, but would that be under that commitment to excellence? Would that be something that would get at that? As an alternative to having reasonable price as adding that as a fifth value?
Value of the organization, I think. Yeah, you're thinking of value, are your values of?
Values guide behaviors, right? So it's a description of the way that we do business. It's excellence, it's focusing on people. Reasonable price is kind of an outcome of what we do. So a way to use that, to get at that, possibly, that's what I'm offering here, just a suggestion, is using the cost-effective or efficient terminology that we were talking about for the mission statement, but using that in the description of commitment to excellence.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, using in that first paragraph would be good. And then the diversity, I think, just.
This one, there's two pieces to this.
Okay.
One is, as you pointed out, there's seasons, and we are. How do I say this? Well, you know, organizations across the country are having to adjust terminology that they're using in their documentation, whether they're policies, whether they're strategic plans, or so on and so forth. It doesn't change our commitment, but it means we are describing these things in a way that aren't going to cause issues with, say, funding for, you know, not bonds, but state funding and so on and so forth. So we've actually have several that are asking us to come in and say, okay, how do we do all the things that we wanted to do, but not use some of the terms that are being targeted by, you know, funding processes.
What a world we live in.
So, what the discussion was, how do and the focus is not so much the issue is for ECUA, as we saw it, was not so much a total diversity, but it was diversity in growth, in management and in leadership, and kind of these having a pathway to get there. And so that is a key discussion point when we get into the goals, is providing growth for staff, providing career pathways beyond just senior managers, getting into the mid-managers and other leadership positions. So we did drop that term, but we wanted to demonstrate, first off, in the values, a commitment to employees, which is in there in the second value, as well as saying, hey, we're fostering a unified workforce. Doesn't matter where you have come from, where your education level is, your lived experiences. We want you to be comfortable here and see a path forward here. So that was what we were trying to get at with that modified terminology.
Thank you for explaining that, Mr. Stephen.
And so help me out, and we've got our attorney here. So is there some mandate to take the word diversity? I understand DUI at the federal level, state level, the whole deal. But I mean, obviously, we're a very diverse workforce. We're a very diverse organization. My private sector companies are extremely diverse, and I think I would agree our strength is in large in part to our diversity. But is there some mandate to take the word? I mean, I understand the DEI policies, but I mean, why would we take diverse and I agree with Ms. Campbell, diverse and equitable workforce, and we're a diverse company. So is that gonna, again, I study this too because I deal with HR until I'm nauseous with various companies and so forth, but we're not taking that out, the private sector out of ours as far as the word diverse and equitable. We've always hired the best qualified person regardless of race, gender, social economics. We hire the best people in my organization regardless. So that was never an issue for me on the private sector side. But anyway, I don't want to go overboard with this.
Sure. No, I'm not aware of any specific, as you put it, mandate to take the word diversity out of anywhere, anything that the organization has. We certainly need to be careful with our policies and make sure they comply with the rules.
Thank you.
I just didn't want to take diversity out or diverse, equitable, workforce, whatever, out because we're concerned about not getting a grant or a loan or being in non-compliance because I wasn't. And again, we're overseen by payroll companies. So I always tell people, you technically work for the payroll company, not for me. Yeah. But we're not. We haven't been asked that on the other than looking at our policies and making sure that the policies themselves aren't following that. But the word diverse, diversity, encouraging diversity, equity, whatever is still. We're still doing that in the private sector, I guess. So
there are states that are running into, or utilities that are running into very straightforward statements. Arkansas is one of them, right? Where state legislature is looking at it and saying, look, even in any of your public, if in your public, and it's broad reaching, right? Any publicly available information, if you're doing anything that falls under the umbrella of, ESG, right? Environment, social, governance, measurements and whatnot, that it'll be an uphill climb for funding for any of the, bonds or not bonds, I keep saying that, but any of the grants that are coming through and whatnot. And then there's others, preemptively in bluer states, right, that other utilities that are going through and looking at their strategic plans and just going through, combing it and saying, is there anything in here, right, the way that we're phrasing this that could trip us up later over the next, few years to that could eliminate or be an issue for us in getting alternative funding.
Madam Chair, may I respond?
Yes, you may.
And certainly, I don't want to preclude us or hinder us in any shape, form, or fashion because there's only a small pool from which we're all trying to get a piece of for grants and loans. So you're thinking, and again, I'm not holding you to it, but you're thinking whispers that using the word diversity, having diversity anywhere in our mission statement or whatever it could possibly have us looked at in unkind light. Yeah, I'm suggesting two things. One is to get at what is the issue that you're trying to solve, right? This isn't a policy statement. It's not to your point, right? But it's identifying something that you want to change or something that you want to fix. And so the discussion was, all right, what is the challenge? And the challenge is vertically diversity through our organization, right? And so how do we
address that.
Without saying diverse.
Without saying that, right? That was the
I got
first
it, I
thing.
got it, I
The
understand.
second is, yes, we are seeing other organizations, leading organizations go through that are absolutely committed to creating equitable and maintaining equitable and diverse workforce, but are going through and doing exactly this. So I'm just giving you the scoop.
I'm
right?
tracking.
But if you wanted to, hey, look, we're committed to this. That's great. We can, under people and service focus, if we go through investing in we could work diversity into a diverse, investing in employee diversity, growth, and development. Not kind of a word kind of combo there, but we could put that into that discussion if that's, or in that explanation under people and service focus. We certainly can. I'm just giving the context
No,
of
I
why
understand the
we
concept, and I understand what you're saying.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't even think about that, but I should have. Ms. Benson.
Yeah, a couple of things. I want to go back to the idea of cost-effective and that sort of thing. I don't think it just ought to sit in our mission statement. I think it ought to be woven throughout. When Mr. Hayden is talking about sewer expansion, he knows the limitations of our dollars, and he calculates that. All of our employees know that, but it needs to be explicit, and I think it's responsive to our ratepayers that we do that. So I don't want to just say, okay, we paid lip service to that, let's let that go away. Regarding diversity, that is a delicate issue, and I think at one place I saw that our organization ought to look like our community demographically. Well, we don't. Our jobs don't look like the community. There are, I don't think, any ECUA employees who look like me, but there are a lot of people in the community who do. I'm an old person, and I can't do the ECUA jobs. So we have to employ people who fit the jobs, first of all, and that's very important. And I don't know how you wordsmith this, but I think we're going the same place. I want a path to leadership for everybody who comes to our organization. I want them to be able to see people who look like them in a position of leadership. I want them to know that there are ways to advance in this company. And I think, I complained about this all being employee-centric, and I do believe it is employee-centric. But that's one thing I think it is so important for our organization, to foster an environment where everybody sees a path for advancement and sees mentors and role models who support that.
I like that, path to leadership.
I know, that was
That's
just,
good. Must have been a
I
teacher.
used to be an English teacher,
Must have been a teacher.
Also, you bring up a great point about mentors, right? And that they're, thinking about how we get there from here. And there is a great opportunity through mentorship type of programs, where programs, it's initiatives, structures, however you want to have that within the organization. So it's not necessarily that when you don't have something you want today, right? Figuring out how you can connect dots within your organization and having that kind of department to department mentorship is a great way to do that. Any other thoughts or comments on the values? All right. Very good. So we will come up, we captured that, we'll come up with some of the, some rewording, some options for you to consider for this in July selection, and we'll move from there. There is one other thing we were going to do, is just collect other comments that you had. So you had, let me zoom to it. There are a few other questions just about how the plan would be used. So there is a draft strategic plan, and this includes that, Mr. Stevens, as I mentioned, kind of at the beginning, there's a preamble that talks about what really the vibe, that, what are kind of overriding kind of priorities, and kind of sets the context for why do you even care about a vision, values, and mission statement that's about to come later in the page, right? So then you get into those. We have our vision, mission, and value statements, followed by six specific goal areas. And there were a few questions that have come up in our discussions with you. One is about AI, right? How are we engaging with AI as an organization? If we're going to come up with a plan in 2025, and this is a 5-year strategic plan, how is it that we didn't call that out specifically? It's a great question. It is in the 6th, which is cybersecurity and technology, not laid out as artificial intelligence, but as leveraging emerging technologies and new technology. I shouldn't say emerging. Leveraging new technologies that are ready for us and that we're ready for. And we can talk a little bit about how going about doing that. One, looking at the systems, making sure we don't have old systems and that it's not causing us an issue. 2, it's that we have data that's going to support that. And then, yeah, that's really small. I'll get to that. So let me pause that. We'll get to the AI thing. The second is, what about other initiatives, right? Like septic to sewer or other things that come up. When people come to us and I will say in the strategic plan, we haven't called out specific initiatives like that. This stays higher level than that. It provides a framework. So if there's a need that you're seeing in the community, it becomes you got to kind of put together a cost and a plan and whatnot. That this allows you to evaluate that against others. There's several categories for needs that come up in utilities. I generally see 4 of them, right? There's regulatory compliance, we just got to do it, right? There's something about that. There's rehab and renewal, which is we've got to really invest in our buried infrastructure to maintain that so that it's going to be effective on into the generations to come, and ensuring that we're doing that. And that's a big one. Across the country, utilities are struggling to do this. And the gold standard, is investing at 1% a year of the value of your buried infrastructure. Not everybody's doing that. Right, we're not quite there yet here, and that's a big lift just to maintain the pipe, plants, pumps that you guys have currently. Investing at that 1%, so having that investment. The next is growth and capacity. So you don't want to stop growing. There's got to be ways to evaluate growth and capacity projects as new developments come in. And that 4th is performance efficiency. So there are optimization type things that you can do to be more cost effective. Now that's not list of first to last. Those are categories, and a framework that you have and that is outlined in the strategic plan allows you to make decisions regardless of what type of project that is. You can evaluate them against each other and select the ones that have the greatest impact for you. The 3rd thing here, the external stakeholders, we talked about a little bit before. So you're in a great spot now to share a document with your external stakeholders, to get some feedback, set up some interviews, even an open house, have people wander through. Had great success with, taking the strategic plan, blowing it up on posters, right? Having folks come through, wind through, and read what is it that we're trying to accomplish over the next 5 years, or our focus areas, and what questions do they have. Having staff there to interact with the community as they come in as well. And of course, avoid jargon. We try, but there's a lot of jargon in our industry. So these are some things that we are going back and taking a look at. Thank you, Ms. Benson. To make sure that we're not doing that. So I want to jump real quick to those things, give you a sense. The 6 strategic goals are financial viability. So first and foremost, making sure that we're doing everything we need to be doing with the finances that our community has entrusted. Our customers and public communications, so ensuring that our customers are equipped with the information they need. Our workforce and leadership, specifically what we've been really focusing in on. Regulatory compliance, so not just being a complying just in time type of utility, not that we are, but there's this one, the intent was to get ahead of things. So taking a look at those things that might be regulations down the road and doing impact assessments on the organization. And then infrastructure, right? Making sure that we're investing in the pipes, pumps, and plants in a way to wells and whatnot to really support sustainability on into, for generations to come. Again, I love that term, Mr. Stevens. And the last one being cybersecurity and technology. We did go through these in detail in April. I don't know that you want to do that again, but we could flash through there just to refresh your memory if you wanted to see them, or we can provide those afterward. Our mission today was to get comments on values, vision, mission, as well as any kind of general over other questions you might have about the plan. But this is where we would get into more of the tactical stuff that staff has come up with. So it's really up to you. Would you like to flip through
Ms.
those?
Benson.
Or?
Yeah, I think I'd just like to receive a plan.
Yeah.
I don't think we need.
Yeah, probably just send it to all of us and let everybody take a look. Yeah, redline it. Yeah, make it redlineable. All right, perfect.
Great.
Yeah, your most recent copy of that was attached to the Friday's board meeting. Happy to send it again.
Excellent. So really the next, our last item here is the next steps, right? So we'll update content based on your comments for consideration in this next board meeting, and really seek your selection and approval of the final options that'll be put into the values, vision, and mission for the strategic plan. And we will see you in July, unless you have any other questions.
Thank you. And thank you very much to the board for giving all your input today. It was fabulous. And thank you very much for listening so contently to what everybody had to say. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we move now to the Recycle Star. And Mr. Williams is going to choose that for us.
Madam Chair, the winner is number 9. And number 9 would be Richard and Karen Larson.
Thank you. Do you want me to read the other names?
I can do it.
Okay, perfect.
And we have listed on our Recycle Star program for today, Jane Turner, Linda and Roswell White, John and Shannon Adderson, Daisy Holmes, MC and Amy Burdick, Stephen and Amy Chawaski, and Joanne Domingue, Dennis and Beth Cockcroft are our list of Recycle Star personnel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. We move now to approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting on May 27th, 2025. Do I have a motion? Or does anybody want to change? Has been moved by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Stevens. Please vote. And it passes 4-0. We move now to the report of the ECUA Citizens Advisory Committee on June 17th, 2025. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a report for ECA Citizen Advisory Committee dated Tuesday, June 17, 2025 at 3 p.m. Committee members present with myself, Dale Perkins, Ms. Benson, Ms. Campbell, Mr. Stevens, Dean Kirshner, David Mosing, Lois Ritz, Dr. D. Manzio, and Imelda Cremati. Members absent was Lois Brown and Chuck Kimball. Item E, we had a couple of presentations. One was on Robert's Rule of Orders, and the other one was Compensation Study Report. We had line items G1, adoption of General Resolution number GR 25-65, a general resolution authorizing the Executive Director to issue a change order to purchase order number 202-50033 with Green South Solutions, LLC for Class B biosolids land application services to increase funding from $300,000 to $400,000. It was moved by Ms. Campbell, seconded by Mr. Monzine, and the board adopted it by a vote of 7-0. Item G2, adoption of General Resolution GR 25-68, a general resolution authorizing the equipment purchase of a new Cummins 770,000-watt diesel portable generator for the generator maintenance division, utilizing the National Sourcewell contract pricing with Cummins, Inc. It was moved by Mrs. Campbell, seconded by Mr. Mungzine, and the board adopted by a vote of 7-0. Item G3, adoption of general resolution number GR 25-69, a general resolution authorizing the executive director to execute agreements with Florida Blue for group medical, dental, vision, life, and disability insurance and other benefits with an effective date of October 1st, 2025. It was moved by Mrs. Campbell, seconded by Mr. Mungzine, and the board adopted it by a vote of 7-0. Item G4, adoption of general resolution number GR 25-80, a general resolution authorizing a fiscal year 2025, fiscal year 2026 proposed budgets and authorizes staff to prepare a preliminary rate setting resolution for approval at the ECUA Board meeting on July 22nd, 2025. Motion was moved by Mr. Stevens, seconded by Dr. DiMaggio, and the board adopted by a vote of 7-0. Madam Chair, I move that they accept the items G1 through G4 of the ECA Board meeting dated 17 June 2025.
Actually, on our agenda for today, there are items 2 through 5. Correct?
On our agenda for today,
It's just that the Roberts Rules and Compensation Study were one, so I just want to make sure.
so how do you want that to be stated?
Moving items 2 through 5. That's
Okay.
GR 65, 68, 69, and 80.
Okay, so Madam Chair, as we stated previously, I move that we accept items
2 through 5.
8-2 through 5 of our ECA Advisory Committee meeting for June 17, 2025.
Thank you, and that was seconded by Ms. Benson. Any conversation? Not, please vote. And it passes 4-0. Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. We move now to the consent agenda, and I will read each item. Mr. Woody will give us a brief update. Then we will be time for you to hold any items that you want to hold or move to consent for the entire agenda. Item A is GR 25-70, a general resolution authorizing the executive director to renew a contract for a one-year extension with Extreme Landscapes and Design LLC for the annual contract for grounds maintenance for the Ellison Complex, Region West, and Godwin Sanitation Complex at the price bid for the second of a two one-year extension and providing an effective date. Mr. Woody.
This contract is for very routine ground maintenance work that we do with an outside third party. This renewal is proposed to be a second one-year extension on a contract that was originally bid back in 2022. Extreme Landscapes has performed well over the last 3 years and indicated a willingness to renew the contract for a second-year extension at the same price as was last year. A portion of this will be paid for from Facilities Maintenance Division in support of their facilities, and a portion of this comes from Sanitation Division for the work over on Godwood Lane.
Thank you, sir. No lights. Mr. Williams? Adoption of General Resolution GR 25-71, a general resolution authorizing the equipment purchase of a new Caterpillar D3 LGP track-type tractor for the Plant Maintenance Division, utilizing the National Sourcewell contract pricing with Thompson Cat of Pensacola, Florida. Mr. Woody.
Our Plant Maintenance Division has a lot of responsibilities for 2,500 acres around the CWRF facility, spray fields, trails, They also maintain fire breaks as part of the forestry program, do some grading and leveling in various locations. Oftentimes that is done by a third-party contractor. We've come to the conclusion that it'd be more efficient if we had a piece of equipment to do quite a bit of that in-house. So we're recommending the purchase of this equipment to give them the additional tools to do so.
See no lights. Move to item C, adoption of General Resolution GR 25-81, a general resolution to notify the Board of an emergency purchase of construction services from the Talcon Group LLC for the repair of an air release valve that failed near 1 Bio Boulevard on the east side of Bio Tahar. Mr. Woody.
Back on May 21st, we had a air release valve that failed on this 30-inch force main. It's a very critical force main that delivers most of wastewater collected in the east and northeast side of our community. We were able to make a temporary repair, but needed to move on with a permanent repair. So we utilized the services of Talcon Group, who we already had a contract with to perform emergency construction sewer services. And they brought in a subcontractor as well to do some technical work to provide live taps on the line for line stops so we could bypass while the construction work occurred. Again, this is on the force main that it runs adjacent to the railroad tracks along Scenic Highway and ultimately crosses under Tahar.
Sir? See no questions. I am going to group the next three together and read them together and let you, Mr. Woody, talk about them all as one item. First one is adoption of General Resolution GR 25-82. This is a general resolution authorizing the payment of bagged hydrated lime orders placed and received from El Hoist North America from March 2025 through May 9th of 2025. And then GR 25-83 is a resolution notifying the Board of Emergency purchase with Garrison Minerals for the acquisition of an interim supply of bagged hydrated lime. And then GR 25-84 is a general resolution authorizing a purchase order with Garrison Mineral for the acquisition of bagged hydrated lime through December 2025 and providing an effective date. Mr. Woody, please talk about all three of these.
There are three separate resolutions. There's three different activities going on, but all related to the same topic of hydrated lime. We previously had a contract with El Hoist for a number of years to provide lime deliveries. Lime is used at all of our water treatment facilities for pH adjustment. And the contract that we had with them expired earlier this year. GR 25-82 addresses purchases made after the completion of that contract. We continue to be invoiced by La Hoist at the prior contract rate, but needed to move on with a new contract. We did so, but had problems getting responses. Purchasing bagged hydrated lime is getting increasingly difficult, and it's part of the reason we have a capital improvements program on a separate topic to construct and build a facility to get out of the business of buying hydrated lime in bag form. GR 25-83, the next one is a contract that allows us to buy bagged hydrated lime based on quotes we received from three different suppliers. Garrison Mineral was the one who provided the lowest bid at $484 a ton, just about $11 more than what we had been paying with La Hoist. We needed that interim service while we then went out for more formal bids. We did get longer quotes to get us down through the end of the year. That would be July through the end of December. That's the subject matter of GR 25-84. Garrison Minerals was the low bidder, willing to continue to provide that material on through the end of the year at the same unit price of $484 a ton. So that's the purpose of the 3 resolutions on that topic.
Thank you, sir. Item G, I won't make Mr. Woody speak about, but I will tell my fellow board members, this is a resolution GR 25-85, a general resolution authorizing the executive director to receive a 3% merit increase with effective date of June 24th, 2025, and any cost of living adjustment granted to Emerald Coast Utilities Authority general employees in FY 2026. Item H is adoption of general resolution GR 25-88, a general resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into a contract with the city of Pensacola for the acceptance, processing, and marketing of recyclable materials through the Emerald Coast Utilities Authority's material recycling facility in accordance with RFP 25-007, which establishes a 5-year term with options for renewable. Wow, 5 years. Sets a processing fee of $115 per ton and includes an 85-15 revenue sharing model between the city of Pensacola and the Emerald Coast Utility Authority. Mr. Woody.
We're very excited that the city of Pensacola is getting back in the recycling business. They're starting to talk to the residents about what that would look like. There's been a little bit of media coverage on the topic. They're still in the early steps of that process. However, one of the first steps that they took several months ago was to solicit a proposal for providing materials recycling facility services. Certainly, the ECUA has been a leadership in provided leadership in regional recycling for quite some time in this area, and of the 3 proposals and presentations that were made on that day, we were chosen to provide those services. So very pleased to partner again with the city in doing that. This contractor will provide a guarantee of some revenue sharing terms to help offset operational costs. Because it's a 5-year term, it helps us certainly with our long-term planning as well, and it helps assure some financial accountability on the services that we provide. This process, or this particular contract, is a little different than some of our others. Rather than a flat fee of $60, their preference was to do some revenue sharing. So our negotiations are such that they pay a processing fee of $115 per ton. But on the back end, we will share revenue on the volume that they bring to us only at the ratio of 85% to the city of Pensacola and 15% to ECUA after having paid the $115 for processing. Again, initial term 5 years, up to 2 additional 5-year renewals potentially after that. We don't know an exact date when this might start yet. They're still in the process of working that with that.
Thank you. Board members have anything to say? I wrote down, I like that you said we're excited about this. I wrote down, move with excitement. I anticipate that this is going to be a much cleaner stream of recycle, probably cleaner than ours right now, because they took away all their recycle and now they're bringing it back only if you pay an extra fee to get it back. And I just want to say I commend our mayor, D.C. Reeves. I think this was a smart move. He had a problem with recycle and he fixed it. And I mean, that's what leaders do, is they listen and they pay attention and they fix things. And I think this was very smart of him to fix it and to make it voluntary instead of mandatory. And I pray that it works out really well for the city of Pensacola. Ms. Benson.
I was kind of hoping the 85-15 went the other way, but so how does this contract compare to other contracts that we have in terms of what our anticipated revenues are?
All of our other contracts are, they pay a flat fee of $60 a ton. If there's a rejection for any reason, if they have a certain percent of contamination beyond what is acceptable, then they would have to pay an additional $65 to get rid of it, because we have to handle it a second time, plus then take it to the landfill for disposal if it doesn't meet those qualifications. We think it'll be a favorable outcome for us. It's there are two different models. The prior base fee of $60, the risk of riding the wave of commodity prices is on us, whereas this model is a little more risk sharing between the two of us. There are gains, but there's also losses depending on how the market goes. But so it'll be interesting to compare the two as we move along.
And will you keep us apprised at how that is working and what
Certainly.
those, I think it would be interesting to see this model because we may want to contemplate it with others.
We know they want to do it at least for a year. They have some grants that they've received associated with some equipment for their vehicles that require this level of reporting. I think that was their primary interest. Beyond that year, I'm sure they'll want to look at it just as closely at whether it's a winner or loser for them from their perspective. And when the grant requirements go away, that may or may not affect their decision about how they want to go.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry.
No.
I asked him a question directly, and I should have gone through you,
No,
and I
that's okay.
apologize.
That's all right. Thank you. We move now to adoption of General Resolution GR 25-89, a general resolution authorizing the purchase of one Peterbilt front-end loader refuse truck and 4 McNeilius Battle Zero Radius side loader for use in commercial and residential sanitation operations and providing an effective date. Mr. Woody.
I want to give some credit to Tommy Fitzpatrick. He is a bulldog. He looks for good prices, good opportunities for purchase, et cetera, and he's instrumental in coming across this particular opportunity. We had a front end loader that we needed to replace due to a fire. Quite frankly, we picked up some material that got in behind the cab when it was unloaded, and we had a loss. We have some insurance reimbursement that'll go toward that additional purchase. But while those discussions were going on, also identified opportunities to purchase some vehicles that are available now. As you know, we have continued to be so frustrated about the length of time it's taken to get some vehicles we purchased clear back in 2022. But it looks like in the next several months we'll wind up with not only that commercial vehicle front-end loader, but also 4 side loaders as well with this proposed purchase, and we're doing so at a considerable savings over what we had paid for other vehicles. So I highly recommend proceeding with this resolution.
Thank you. I do not see any lights. Do I have, oh, Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we still have not received our loaders from 2022.
Not all of them. We're receiving some, but they're coming in slow.
And will we receive these before those, or are these going to be on order as well, waiting to be delivered?
Two of them are, of the 4 side loaders, 2 of them are literally on the sales floor, ready for delivery as soon as we can execute the paperwork. There's another 2 that are just a short time behind that. I can't remember, a few weeks, a few months. About 4 weeks, about a month behind it. Yeah. The important differences I'll point out, what we ordered in 2022 was the conventional CNG that we've been operating for many years. These 4 coming are diesel. There's an important difference in technology that's occurred in that time since 2012. However, the current generation of diesel vehicles are producing exhaust that is every bit as clean as CNG. More equally important, the purchase cost of the vehicles is as much as $100,000 less to buy diesel than CNG. The operating cost of maintaining them, preventive maintenance, et cetera, over the life is considerably less expensive. And then at the end of life, people will actually buy a used diesel garbage truck. Nobody will buy a CNG truck. You just get scrap value for it.
Wow.
Madam Chair, speaking of life, of the truck, how long do we expect the trucks to last? And be in the fleet?
8 years.
8 years?
We have a fleet that's older than that. We're anxious to get rid of. Our costs are high because we run them longer than we should. And the financing that we're doing on the ones we're purchasing now is just for that useful life with the intention of turning them on that cycle. As a vehicle ages, its maintenance cost rises. There's a point in its life where it makes more financial sense to turn the vehicle and not continue to operate it. And we're trying to get back into that appropriate cycle by very close monitoring of operating expenses. We look at the total life cycle cost of a vehicle, cost to buy, cost to operate, cost to maintain, salvage value. The whole thing is really what needs to make the decisions for purchasing and maintenance.
Last question, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Are these those sidewinders that go down the narrow streets to pick up the recycled trash? Are these for those purposes?
These particular four, the larger ones. If it's okay, I would probably defer to Tommy to answer some more details.
Through the board,
Yes.
through the chair. They're just called side loaders. It's the ones that just pick up the cans. These are the full-size ones, so they're not the really small ones or anything. They just have a different name. The Battle, the Zero Radius is the name of the body itself. So it's just a couple different names of it because the company that we bought through before is taking so long to get their vehicles and chassis in. But Battle's been around for many, many, many years. City of Pensacola uses them and so forth. And I was able to find these at a dealership in Tampa, actually, on the floor, on the ground right now, ready to go.
Wow.
At about, and these are roughly $390,000, and the ones that we bought in '22 are $490,000. So they're roughly $100,000 less.
And so the small sidewinders that we're waiting for are still the ones that are back for 2022? The smaller?
Correct. And we've got all of those except one.
All of them except one?
All of them except one right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But two of those, we just got back from the dealership too. They're having issues with the engines right now, so they're back and forth right now. But again, that's that company that we kind of bought everything through. So we're trying to facilitate another vendor to get our stuff through now. Yep.
You. Questions? Do we have anyone that would like to hold any of items A through I?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Which one?
It would be the ER 2571.
71. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The
And
Caterpillar truck.
Right,
Okay.
and I just had a question on the Lime GR 25-83. So I don't know if I need to pull it. I'm going to vote yes, but I had a question.
Okay, you want to just ask the question?
Yeah, the question would be how do we let the contract expire on that one? Normally, our contracts don't expire. So,
That's a good question. We do have some, as a result of this recent experience, we've revamped a little bit some of our checks and balances between departments. We do have an expectation that departments track everything that they're procuring in the life cycle of their contracts. As additional checks and balances, our finance department and procurement department does that as well. But some communications didn't follow as they should, and this one got away from us.
okay, so now two departments, including finance, will track.
Yeah, it has been that way. It didn't work this time.
Okay, fair enough.
Usually it does very well.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
So would you like to move items A and C through I and hold B?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Back second by Mr. Stevens. Please vote. It passes.
I did, okay. That's why
And
it says
And it
that.
passes 4-0. I just move you right along there. You didn't even know you were getting moved. Now, item B, adoption general resolution GR 25-71, a resolution authorizing equipment purchase of new Caterpillar D3 LGP track type tractor for plant maintenance division utilizing national Sourcewell contract.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Can I move it to get it on the table?
Yes. Thank you. And it's second by Mr. Stevens, all right? Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Okay. Now we can discuss it.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fair. Okay, we've been doing this wrong for a long time. The question would be, this is obviously a new piece of equipment, so, and we're talking about it's going to, over time, save us money. But over time, how much money have we been spending where this equipment will be used? Is it gonna be?
Yeah, this would be for our plant maintenance division, and it's a request that came from that department. If you don't mind, I'll ask Jerry to fill in some details.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, so we spend quite a bit of money every year on maintaining a large portion of the trails at the CWRF with other equipment and contractors that periodically come in and fill it in. Along with this, we have other equipment that we would use, forestry equipment that we already have on staff, and this would complement our ability to maintain the trails out there. We spent about $500,000 after Hurricane Sally fixing the trails to access the spray fields and things like that, where we then had to seek FEMA reimbursement and that type of thing. So it's a significant investment, but it's also keep us ahead of erosion and those types of things that occur out there naturally from the flooding events.
So it's just a tractor that's going to plow through the forestry, creating paths, or?
No, it's going to maintain existing trails that wash out.
Okay. Okay, so will you be able to put different equipment on the front end of it?
No.
No? Okay.
We'll maintain fire breaks with it because we periodically do controlled burns, those types of things out there.
So it's just a tractor, will you be able to hook up anything on the rear end of it?
Well, you could, but you wouldn't. I mean, you would use it specifically for what it's meant for. Like just recently, I rented one, did a significant amount of work at sanitation, filling in potholes and regrading the site, and we had to rent that piece of equipment.
So what do you use on the front end to fill it?
It's a flat blade. It's a bulldozer.
Okay, okay. Okay, the large bulldozer. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, and,
May I add a comment?
Yes, sir.
Usually when you think tractor, you're probably thinking of rubber-tired tractors, which have different implements you can put on the front or the back, et cetera. This is actually a track-mounted bulldozer. It's a small bulldozer, relatively speaking, but it is a track-mounted vehicle.
okay.
I wouldn't
For
step in front of it.
dedicated.
It's 28,000 pounds.
You wouldn't step in front of it?
No.
Okay, that's good. So how long do you expect it to last? How long do they last?
We've had backhoes go over 20 years, so I would think it would last
I mean,
a long time.
20 years is good.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it comes with a 5-year warranty, so yeah, it's quite a good piece of equipment.
Okay, and who will do the maintenance, if maintenance will be required?
Well, the first 5 years it'll be Caterpillar, and then we'll probably coordinate with the fleet maintenance garage to take it over after that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Really good questions. Appreciate it. And with that, please vote on item B. Thank you, Mr. Piscopo, for coming up. passes 4-0. We move now to the budget report. Mr. Smith?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
You have before you the year-to-date available budget report as of May 31st, 2025, which is 67% of our fiscal year. On the water and wastewater side, our expenses are at 58%, so we're slightly below budget there. And on the sanitation and MRF side, we're at 60%. So again, we're just below the prorated budget amounts on all of our enterprises as of May 31st.
Thank you, sir. Do I have any questions? None? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. We move now to the Executive Director's report. Mr. Woody.
I just have two items. You'll remember at our last meeting, we discussed the fact that fluoridation of water ended on Monday, June 16th. A follow-up directive of the board at that time was to provide some information to our customers for those who are interested in knowing and understanding some additional information about fluoride and other resources. I want to let you know that if you go to that is now live on our ECUA website. Under the Live Green tab, there is a section regarding our water supply. And we give an update of fluoride and Senate Bill 700, a little bit of background on why we no longer fluoridate based on Senate Bill 700 by the state. But then we also provide some additional alternative source of information regarding fluoride, including 4 different links to organizations including the American Dental Association, the CDC, National Institutes of Health, and Florida Department of Health. And also want to let you know that our HR department, together with Career Source Escarosa, is having a sanitation career fair this Thursday, the 26th, from 10 to 2. We have a modest number of sanitation equipment operator positions, fleet mechanic positions, and a materials management specialist position open. We're hoping to fill. Certainly, they'll be answering any questions about other positions within ECUA as well, but that will be their primary focus, is to help support our sanitation division. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. We move now, item 12, Attorney's Report. Mr. Peep.
No items to add from legal, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We move now to item 13, no unfinished business. Does anyone talk about? If not, we move to item 14, new business. And I had one item. So, you know, I know you've probably heard Perdido Key, Incorporate, and all these other things going on. Perdido kind of tends to feel like they're at a disadvantage a lot of times. They raise over 30% of the bed tax, and not a lot of that money comes back out to that area. When we talk about water tanks, we make water tanks and water towers look beautiful all around the county, but the one out there, there's a water tank out there on Inter-Arity Point Road that's just, if you drive out there, you'll see it's just got where they patch the cracks all over it, and it just doesn't look pretty at all. And I know we're going to paint it, and I asked if there would be any way we could put something on that tank. So, because when everybody that lives out there shops in the shops at Perdido, and when you pull out of the driveway at the shops at Perdido, all you see is our big old water tank. And so it'd be nice if we could put, and there's a guy we like out there, his name is Fred, and he is a blue heron. And so everybody likes the blue heron out there, and I think it'd be an easy thing for us to do. We have a marketing representative out there that has offered to do a free logo for us. I think they did, sorry about that, I think they did the free logo for the Chamber of Commerce out there as well. And it's a replica of Fred, and ours won't be the same as the Chambers, but it'll be, you know, something with that on there. And we are already planning on painting the tank. We just weren't planning on doing anything to it, just painting it. So I would like to get that area to feel better about how they're represented, and I'd like to paint a bird on the side of the tank, if I could get 2 votes to go along with that. Ms. Benson?
Madam Chair, I move that we explore the cost of painting the water tower based on your recommendation of Fred.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a second for that?
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Any conversation? Ms. Benson? Oh, Mr. Williams?
So, this is an ECUA tank?
Yes, sir.
And, so the question I would have is, how is it listed on our schedule of maintenance? Why does it look so different from the rest of our tanks?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, we actually have budgeted this next year to paint it a single color, so about probably half of the cost of what we would be doing for putting any kind of logo or painting on it is already in the budget. I've talked with staff, and depending on the complexity and therefore the cost associated with this item, we believe that we can fund the balance through the current year budget. If it's more than 3 or 4 colors, something more complicated, that's likely a totally different issue. But we already have funded at least a single color.
And it would be mechanically sound, would we go through and structurally check it out, making sure?
Yes, we just completed some repairs. In fact, that's the reason it's currently a little unsightly, because we did some crack repair on it recently, and therefore it has an older white color that's pretty faded and in need of a paint job. We've made crack repairs, so now it has gray crack repairs all over it. A little unsightly.
Madam Chair, what do you want done to it after that?
I want the bird on it. I just want a Fred, the blue heron. On
The emblem we have branded for all of our ECUA tanks, or no?
No.
Fred?
Yeah, it's a blue heron.
Okay.
And the lady is going to do the artwork for free. And she's going to keep it under 3 colors.
She's going to do the artwork.
She's going to do it for free.
She's going to get
I
on
know,
the
I
scaffolding.
almost fell out when she said free, because, usually when you say, hey, I need artwork, does anybody want to put in, and she said, I'll do it, and I'll do it for free.
On the tank?
No, she's not going to do it on the tank. She's going to do the artwork for them to go by.
Who's going to put the artwork on the tank?
The people that do our painting on our tanks. Have you been to the ones on Pensacola Beach? They got the pretty dolphins all over them.
How recently you talked?
And the one downtown that has the pretty
Yes.
airplane on it? Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how much more cost are we going to have to incur?
Oh, that's what this is about. We're just exploring the cost.
Okay,
We'll come back to you with the cost,
okay,
and then you can vote yes or no.
okay.
This is just to explore the
This
cost.
is an exploratory.
Yes,
vote.
sir.
Okay.
Make an informed decision later after you're aware of what the cost will be.
Right.
All right, I'm okay with exploring the cost.
Thank you. Thank you. Please vote.
You should have told me that from the beginning.
That was her motion. And it passes 4-0. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone voting for that. I don't stand up here and beg for a lot of things. We move now to 15, board communications. And we have none. Mr. Williams, your light, board communication? Nope. We move now to our second open forum. I have no pink slips. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. jumped on that. And Ms. Benson seconds. And please vote. And it passes 4-0. Thank you very much, board, for a great meeting.
Yeah, I've got blue herring at my leg. Harold.
Fred.
Harold.
His name is Fred. That's what we call him. My husband used to fish, throw a mullet, not a mullet net, but a bait net to catch bait. And he would come throw them in the bucket. And before he could get back out to get more, that Fred would be up there in the bucket.